Hi, it's Ashleigh from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome back to my channel where I make a lot of cake and cookie decorating tutorials as well as give a lot of baking business tips. And I'm sure we've all been in this boat before where we're rushing around, but I was really cutting it close. It was my niece's birthday and I asked my sister offhandedly if she was going to be serving any dessert. And she said, actually, no. Do you have anything that you could bring? Because I often have frozen things on hand. But I don't know why. I guess I was just feeling very, very ambitious, but I said I could make something. So literally it was 4:30 and dinner was supposed to be at 6:30. So it really gave me only about an hour and a half to get things done because of course getting ready and getting to the venue was going to take time. So here I am rushing around, and no, my friends, I did not use the proper cake method, and I was afraid that this was not going to turn out, but I'd actually screwed up a step and it turned out just fine. So it's good to know that I can do that. Oh, and also in the middle of all this chaos, I got dinner ready for the following day. I had a few minutes while the cakes were baking, so I decided to make myself useful. Anyway, they came out of the oven, and yes, I also decided to make cupcakes and a cake. Don't ask me why, but I had some leftover fillings from the macarons that I made the other day, so I decided to use this as an opportunity to make raspberry cupcakes, and then I was going to do a chocolate ganache cake. Compotes don't last a long time, so I really did need to use this up before it went bad because I just hate waste. And I also decided to make an American buttercream this time because it lends really well to adding things like compotes to it. These cupcakes were still warm to the touch. Luckily, cupcakes do cool a lot faster than a traditional cake, and you'll see later on where I have a lot of issue with that. Luckily, the buttercream also is very, very stable because it's an American buttercream, and I also used a very cold compote straight from the fridge. I had some leftover macarons as well as these fresh raspberries. Now, at this point, I was thinking, wow, this is coming together really, really quickly, and it looks great, and I still have time. I think I'm going to be just fine, but just you wait and let this be a lesson. If you are in a rush and you're very limited on time, cupcakes is definitely the way to go. I had about 30 minutes left at this point until I needed to leave. While those cupcakes were in the fridge and these cakes were cooling, I did go and get ready, and it still was not enough time. Like when I say the cupcakes were warm to the touch, they were a little bit warm. These were near piping hot. I was glad that everything was baked through really nicely, but I would have definitely liked a cooler cake. And if you've ever had issues with things leaking out or fillings leaking out, it is generally because things might be a little bit too warm or your frosting isn't thick enough. Now, I know that my frosting was actually a really perfect consistency, and originally I tried to aim for something that had a thicker buttercream, but it wasn't working. Things were lifting off, and like I said, it just was too warm, and I knew this going into it, but I was being stubborn thinking that I could do this. So for some extra reassurance, I did put a dowel in the center. Now 6-inch cakes do not need dowels pretty much ever, but in this instance I thought, what if when we're driving we hit a bump and things just end up sliding? You can even see on the top there how things are a little bit melty, and I kid you not, when we arrived to the restaurant, well after everybody had finished the meals, the cake was still warm. People were like, it tasted like it's just fresh out of the oven because it really maintained that heat. The restaurant did not allow for refrigeration of cakes for food safety reasons. So yeah, it was a warm cake. I tried everything in my power to make sure that this cake stayed together and was as stabilized as I possibly could. So one of the things is my ganache was a 2-to-1 ratio, which is quite a stable ganache. So actually that chocolate was really helping keep things together. It wasn't melting under the heat because I had just kind of taken it out of the fridge. So it still had some of that coolness in there, which I think is what kept this together. I also used a very, very stable chocolate buttercream. I added a lot of cocoa powder to an Italian meringue buttercream, which, as we know, is one of the most stable egg-based buttercreams. Then for some added reassurance, I decided to add on this ganache border, but unfortunately, the ganache was very, very dark in comparison to that cocoa powder that I added in, so it just looked out of place. I ended up adding some other things on there, but it just didn't look as good. I should have gone with a quick ganache drip on the side, but I honestly had no more time to do anything. Even this writing was incredibly hasty, so I was just trying to pull things together, and I started started grabbing random things from my pantry, looking into my cake supplies, and my husband was literally standing at the door with our son in hand, trying to get him into the car, trying to get everything into the car. We had brought balloons and a little gift, plus I had the cupcakes, and I also brought some macarons that I had made previously to the restaurant because someone was gluten-free. So it was a lot, but I did get it done. It did stand up, it served its purpose, and if you saw my Instagram story, my niece did struggle with blowing out the candles, but don't worry, she did eventually get it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading weekly, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys, and be sure to check out the Bake Down podcast if you haven't had enough baking content today. Bye!